Hey guys, Patterns in Paradise welcomes you, philosophical travelers, old and new. We have yet another podcast,
packed with contrast, meandering through wacky roads of mind, combining curious tangents intertwined. I'm Reggie.
And I am Monk. Enjoy.
Welcome to Patterns in Paradise. We have got a special episode on for you tonight. In fact, 5. Tonight we're going to be doing a 5-part recording, delving into perspectives, in particular, time. The present, the past, the future. How they all get together as all 4. And finally, in summary, how do we perceive it? How is it different for different people, different situations? Reggie, take us away, brother.
Thank you very much, Monk. It's been a very crazy week. So today's, currently is the present podcast, and we'll be moving on to the past after this. But presently, I believe individuals aren't as aware as they probably could be and should be as to the present life. So being present in the moment is not just being able to make a decision for the next 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It's being able to accept your surroundings, your environment, your personal feelings, your emotions, your thoughts. There's hundreds of different aspects which coincide to become that present moment in retrospect of time, which again, we will be following on to. But our present day, right now, this present moment, what you are feeling currently and what I am feeling is going to be very different. It's relative to our environment. And this is something that people aren't quite aware of, and they're more or less focused on the reaction of their actions rather than actually just accepting what is the now.
Right. It's as though we go about identifying the different stimulus and events and actions of others and people and stuff. We tend to identify them almost with labels, to say when we look at a scenery, we don't look at, for example, in my case behind me, we've got trees, we've got flowers. I might look at house, pillar, hat, eyes, bracelets, rings. Whereas possibly embracing a more present mindset, not only in mind, but in body as well, is accept the whole human experience. Like, I'm not just looking at flowers, trees, and whatnot. I'm sitting here now. This is what's coming into me. It's like looking at a painting, and instead of looking at all the little individual bits of the painting, you're just letting the whole painting come into you. You're taking in the entire volume of your experience, including what you're feeling about it now, the wind on your body, the wind on your skin, being a human in this moment now, as though you were incapable of labeling things with words. And this is a huge point you mentioned about presence there, in regards to we're not as present as we think we could be. And the irony is that, and it's almost been like a sacrifice we've had to make as humans, is by developing language and becoming literate and being able to develop writing and written word. So as a result, we're suddenly able to label things in a more defined and accurate way than we ever could before. So whereas before, someone who was illiterate, they had to describe things in a more holistic, colorful way, because they didn't have the ability to say, the bird is flying in the sky with its wings spread so wide. Oh, how beautiful it is. That person would look at it, and their way of transmitting that info to others would be some story by the campfire, which would have a lot more fleshed out color to it than simply reading it on a book, which has allowed us in many ways to transmit information for thousands and thousands of years through spoken word. But in terms of being present, how can we truly be present to the whole world around us when we're looking at word by word by word on a page? Like, I heard this podcast the other day, I forget who it was with, but the gentleman was saying, oh shit, it was Dennis McKenna on Joe Rogan's podcast. Shout out to them. I'm gonna put that down in the description. He was mentioning how by reading a book, you're only taking in visually. That's the one sense you're using, whereas all these other senses are now null and void. So you're present in a way, but are you really present?
That's the thing. That's a lovely topic you bring up, because, okay, you might be null and void in terms of the information you're reading. You're not necessarily concentrating on the smells, on the sounds, or even the sound you personally make. Like the other aspects of the senses, even the taste. You might have a coffee next to you, you might have a water, you might have a juice, and you might sip at that every odd sort of 5 pages, for example. But in a different aspect, if you're reading the exact same book, exact same time, and instead of having a water, you have a Fanta, it could create a different kind of experience. You might feel more energetic. Therefore, you create more energy in your head as to what you're reading. There could be multiple, I don't know what the neuroscience is in regards to what happens with the brain. I would love to find out. But it definitely affects us in regards to anything that's happening around us. The smell, you might be reading and the smell of a lovely, beautiful lady walks by, or even a good guy, a good, handsome guy, whatever, right? Depending on who you personally are and what your personal preferences are. But that's the thing, is everything that goes on around us, it still affects us, but maybe not necessarily in the way that we initially wanted to, or maybe even perceive it, because we're not thinking about it. It's subconsciously happening and we're processing it. It's going on, it's working, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on reading and creating pictures of what we're reading. And how could that picture be different if slight changes in the environment were to occur? I think you would have a different experience and you would personally read it in a different way, create a different picture. You might be more extravagant with the description of someone that you're reading as a specific character,
If you
or
had
even
some
a specific
behind you, or the Fanta on the table that you sipped, and you've got that aftertaste, maybe versus if someone was sitting in just a plain white room with a single window, which was looking up at the sky, not trees, not grass, not nothing. What would their perception be of sitting down? And let's even make it so different as to say, make them stand in a plain white room made of concrete and read that book with a blank cover with basic looking text. Whereas what would the response be of a person putting them in a colorful room with a big window open to nature, birds flying past, there's a little scent make on the wall that's spraying a little aroma or something nice, with a colorful book cover, and they've had a good night of rest, and the font is nice and bold, and there's maybe a few pictures in the book. What's there, the little variables, the little subconscious variables that maybe that person doesn't consider? What's that effect on that person taking in that stimulus? The total picture, what do they take away from it?
And that's what we need to be able to try and imagine ourselves and become more present in. So you might be reading a specific sentence in a book, and suddenly you get this rush of emotions where you feel happiness or sadness or anger or whatever emotion it is. If you have that rush of emotion, I encourage you to simply take a moment away from that book and just be in that moment, feel that emotion, understand potentially why that's happened. Because if you're able to take yourself out of that situation and you're connecting to your emotional state, you will be able to enhance your presence of mind, and you'll be able to actually understand why you might be feeling certain things. I've personally been able to unlock some emotions when I've been around walking on my nightly walks that I've been doing, where I've been doing my meditation, and I've been doing my reading, and I've been doing my work. And as soon as I have this rush of emotion or of happiness or something, I'll take a moment to reflect very simply in how does this actually make me feel and why? Questioning it. That's what's keeping me present in that moment. And it might simply just be because the words I heard and the situation I'm in coincide. It could even be that. It doesn't necessarily have to be as difficult as that, where you might be like, okay, was it because the person that asked me 5 minutes ago had a really nice smelling cologne? And all of a sudden, it's now created that burst of happiness.
Right.
Who knows?
A different pathway, in a sense.
Yeah. But I think we need to push ourselves to be more present in mind, sorry, so that we can actually become more connected to our emotions. Because in our day to day, in this current life, we aren't encouraged to be in touch with our emotions because we're so involved with social media and the news of the world and working, because we have to work in order to get money. We have to go through in a day to day of this is pain, this is to get this result, and I can't do anything else. I can't fix that. Whereas if we're actually more present
Wow.
in our current state and our emotion, you might actually be able to change quite a number of factors in your current life that will create more happiness for yourself.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane, but so true at the same time. You mentioned, Reggie, in regards to the way our societies are built, as much as we can say, yeah, we're not living in caveman times anymore, where we don't have to run after our food with spears and sticks. And yeah, we have houses and lights and running water. A lot of the world still doesn't have that. But at least in the more developed world, certain eases have come along. Now there's a way of earning the money you need to go to a store where there's already food there, which you can buy. And there's a lot of other, dare we say, luxuries or comforts in the world that we didn't have originally. But a sacrifice of that is we are forced now to live in a world that almost forces us to be more asleep, more robotic, and less conscious, less consciously connected to the world around us, to our inner emotions, our inner feelings. And now, again, this is going to sound a little bit conspiratorial, but as we've seen throughout history, the second there's been an opportunity for somebody to profit off, or to manipulate, or to maybe twist their way into a positive, strengthful situation using some current social event, people have found a way to do that. For example, people realizing, hey, actually, in government, we can print our own money. What stops us? If we have a printing press, oh, it's legal. It's called, what is it? Monetary easing, which means we're going to add more money to the money supply in order to keep businesses going. Nice, cool. For the everyday people earning the money, yay. What for the people printing it? You just have open power of the money supply. Or the people who are like, hey, what if people in day-to-day life were to be kept asleep, kept working on just the essential stuff, that they don't actually notice that there's all kinds of crazy shit going on? And we're not in touch with our emotions. We're not in touch with what's going on inside of us. What if, even like with diseases and stuff, all this emotion that we repress and we keep deep down inside, what if people were simply taught, and it's not really a simple thing, but by being more in touch with oneself, we're better able to actually identify what is wrong with me. What's that pain in my chest that I've been feeling for 10 years? Which, oh, surprise, surprise, in 5 years' time, you go to the doctor, it's a tumor. Congratulations. And we realize it's like, what's the effect of having undealt with emotions? They're just your emotions. Are they? They've been around for how many millions of years? They had a reason for existing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have emotions. Crocodiles don't feel emotions. You rip off a crocodile's leg, it doesn't give a damn because it's not a social animal. Emotions are a social thing that come for social animals to be able to understand and work in teams and be able to cooperate with one another, sense danger. So by not being present and not being in our emotional, aware of our emotional states, we don't do ourselves any favors. And we allow anyone who would want to mess with us, be it an abusive boss, be it certain governmental powers that maybe don't exactly have the public's best interest at heart, to take advantage of people, because sadly it's the society we live in that you need to work, like you said, for money, to make food for family, to get by in the world. And it's really a conundrum to even try and start to solve. So we're going to take a little break this end. We're going to be calling out, shouting out for our sponsor, Anchor. We'll be making podcasts without him. Stay tuned to Patterns in Paradise. This current episode will be continuing in just 1 second. Yalla.
If you ever wanted to start a podcast but didn't know where to get started, didn't know how to get started, or were intimidated by the whole process of recording, editing, synchronizing, and creating your own podcast from scratch, let alone marketing it and then running analytics, then look no further. Anchor is the premium podcasting platform out there, directly connected to Spotify, and they will directly market and distribute your podcast for you to outlets such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and many other different outlets for free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and create your podcast right from your phone or computer. Right from your phone or computer. With a simple, easy to use display that allows you to go from idea stage to recording to publishing in as little time as humanly possible, while teaching you the essential basic skills needed to host, run, and evaluate your own podcast. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I repeat, anchor.fm to get started. Reggie and I would not be in such a position, so easily able to plan out the releases of our podcast step after step after step, and getting ideas from inside our brains out into the microphone and out into the public as easy as we are without the use of Anchor. These guys are a game changer and will change your podcasting experience. Anchor.fm to get started. Back to the studio with Reggie and Monk. Enjoy.
It's very difficult, but I love how you were giving this example of a potential conspiracy of being asleep. And before you got into this conspiracy, I had a wacky thought, which was very similar, which was we're getting to the state where we're in quarantine, we're being forced to work from home. What if it gets to the stage where they end up actually putting us on fucking machines and we simply just lie in bed and these electrodes just do the work and we're just there like this potato?
Like, hey, save energy. What if you could stay in bed all day? Hey, we found a new way of working where you don't even need to move your hands. You can stay in bed and relax.
You don't even need to get in the bed.
And it becomes like a scene from Wall-E, the cartoon. Well, we'll plug that as well. Where the people are in bed, just looking at the TV screen. Everything's in milkshake form. Bones have degraded by 80%. Oh, that's exactly it, dude. Where's the limit? Where's the limit to these kinds of plans, to these kind of conniving schemes, which again, maybe or may not are being used for bad, but if there's bad people out there who are looking for power, they're going to find a way. They're going to be willing to step on anyone needed to abuse the natural human psyche. People who are asleep, sit in your bed so we can drain your body of energy and use it to power our power plants. Conspiracy. It's a good idea there, that stay in bed.
It's a strange conspiracy, but it's not a far-fetched one, because it could potentially be our futures. Like, would we have thought that someone can actually travel to Mars? Like just a normal citizen. Okay, Elon Musk is not a normal citizen because he became incredibly powerful with creating so many different, let's say, what is it? Breakthroughs in many different fields, including electronic cars, now rockets and air travel, space, all sorts of different areas. He's now made some serious breakthroughs. Like, this guy is insane. But that's the craziest thing is anyone. This is point proven. Anyone has the potential and possible chances to do this. So how is it that we might not have an individual who might be 4 years old right now, sorry, who is planning on making life a hover chair where everything's slurpy?
Right? How do we know? And what could possibly be out there? And
I mean,
this has happened though in the past, man. I mean, every item we see nowadays that was ever man-made came from an idea. It started off from something in the past that then amalgamated itself, the mix of thought and action, and in some ways the sacrificing of effort in the present day, the sacrificing of present attention in some regards, will then make the future a better place with whatever idea you have. Guys, this has been the first, well, technically episode 2 of Perspectives with Reggie and Monk. Now, next special part, we're going to be jumping into the past, delving into the past, seeing where that goes. This has been Reggie and Monk. Y'all take care. You know where to find us: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Mars. Yes, we are on Mars. Y'all take care, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Patterns in Paradise. Yalla.